Hey, welcome to the Mortgage Minute for November the 13th. Always lots going on, so I'm going to try to get these Mortgage Minutes done once a week instead of once every 2 weeks. Last week we talked about the price of oil in Alberta. If oil goes below $90 a barrel, then that could impact the amount of projects that go on in Alberta and therefore could impact your Alberta real estate holdings, i.e. the tenants who occupy your buildings or units. Here's a headline from today saying U.S. looks to meet its own oil needs. This is going to be very interesting. It talks about some changes in technology that's going to allow the United States to become closer to being self-sufficient. So, what will that mean to the Alberta tar sands, and will they continue to need that supply of oil? How will that impact the price of barrel? If there's more oil on the market, the price may come down. I'm just saying, something to look at. Another thing, of course, President Obama won re-election, and there were many that were relieved about that, but the markets did react in a slightly negative way. Markets tumble as election glow fails. Mounting economic gloom from Europe adds to investor worry over U.S. budget gridlock following the re-election. Now, the good news for you Canadians looking at your mortgages right now is as we get closer to this pending fiscal cliff that they keep talking about, look for bond yields to continue to drop, which means there'll be little or no pressure for the long-term interest rates to go up. So another further stimulus towards keeping rates suppressed or down. But one of the things I just want to mention today, you're going to hear a lot about this term coming up, about a fiscal cliff. And that relates to, so I thought I took an article here, and if you bear with me, I'm just going to read a little bit about what this fiscal cliff is, because you'll hear a lot of misinformation on it. The fiscal cliff simply refers to an automatic spending cuts and expiry of tax cuts, meaning taxes would go up that would take effect on January 1st, 2012, and effectively remove significant stimulus from the economy. These were a requirement of a deal made between Democrats and Republicans in order to raise the U.S. debt ceiling earlier this year. You may recall that President Obama went to the Congress and said, I have to raise the debt ceiling in order to pay our debt. So they made a deal. And it was a super committee of Democrats and Republicans. They would work together to propose a budget measures that would cut the deficit by $1.2 trillion over 10 years. If they couldn't reach a deal, then these automatic measures, i.e., automatic spending cuts and increase in taxes, would take effect immediately. So these automatic measures were thought to be drastic enough that it would provide an incentive to avoid it from happening. Thus far, it hasn't. So what you've got is another term that you're going to hear is political brinksmanship, meaning that the Democrats and Republicans are going to fight over how to do this, and they'll probably take it to the nth degree. In other words, take this right to the 11th hour before coming up with a conclusion. And as such, it's going to make the whole globe is going to sit there and say, is the United States going to go over the fiscal cliff, or will the Democrats and Republicans get it together in time? So between now and January 1st, which is the deadline for them to get their act together, look for, like I said, political brinkmanship to take the forefront. Unfortunately, it means economic instability for the rest of us. The good news for you home buyers is it'll further create a downward pressure on bond yields, which will again further suppress the need for increasing any interest rates. We'll keep an eye on that moving forward. Just thought I'd share more about what that's about. Lastly, what's kind of interesting, we pay a lot of attention to the U.S. elections. Power play in China. Not as many headlines, but the Chinese government actually chose new leaders as well, and they stated that the last week will have global ramifications for the next generation based on what their leadership is. It's funny, we haven't seen much information about that in our Western media, but something I'm going to keep an eye on, and I'll keep you posted in further Mortgage Minutes. Folks, that's the Mortgage Minute for today. Hope you have a fantastic week. Thanks.